Okay, let's go over a few things before we start the cloth here. I sanded all the drips and runs off the board. Started with like an 80 grit, worked up to 150, and then I think I just lightly scuffed the whole thing down with 220. I've added this 2-inch drip line here. So what's going to happen is I have a nice sort of 90 degrees here when my cloth's going to come over, and then as soon as it starts to curl under, that's when it's going to get cut off here. So then when I flip the board over, I can put the cloth down the whole thing and laminate all the way down to this point here. Now there is a few scuff marks here from where I sanded, so hopefully I didn't get down all the way to the wood. Maybe I did right there, but I'm hoping when I put the next coat of clear on, that's going to cover those scuff marks, so we'll see. That's why we're doing the bottom first. Here's the cloth here. It's about as thick as maybe t-shirt material. This is a 6-ounce cloth. It might be a little overkill, but they didn't have 4-ounce, so we'll see where this takes us. Now, I've kept this as clean as possible. I think I got 24 feet or so. It comes in 60-inch pieces. So we're just going to roll this out. Taking a nice clean brush. I'm relaxing the cloth here. See these kinks here? I want to eliminate those. Left about 4 or 5 inches around the entire bottom of the board. Got about 5 squirts of hardener, 5 squirts of the resin. So we'll see. I know this cloth's going to absorb a lot. Ain't nothing to her but to do her. Yeah, we're going to need a lot more epoxy. It'd be nice if you had a helper mixing the epoxy for you. And this is exactly why I did that cheater coat, because I knew how much epoxy this would take. Try to get some started on the sides here because it wants to peel up on the corners where the rail meets the hull. So I'm just doing this sort of like static to keep it down. I'll end up going over all this again, make sure it's really nice and wetted out. Watch here, I'm just gonna suck that right down. Working from the middle. I guess something's broken. Camera's probably gonna die on me. I guess something's broken. Not the bow here. The epoxy is hardened and the glass is hardened, and what I'm doing is I'm running the razor blade just above the tape there. So I'm trying not to cut too deep. I'm using my left hand on top of the board to support it. I'll take this. It's gonna crack up in here. There we go. So we're at the bow now. The board's flipped so the deck is up. And what I just did off camera was I fiberglass with the cloth the entire top surface of the board. Now it is exactly what you just watched a few minutes ago. Now the only thing different here is I've only left about 1/4 of an inch where this green tape is. so that when this top layer of cloth came down, it overlaps the bottom layer of cloth. So there's maybe 1 inch of overlap here, and obviously near the middle of the board there's maybe 2 inches of overlap, just because, you know, it's a little bit thinner here. So now I'm doing the same procedure. I'm running along this line with the X-Acto knife, and I'm cutting away the previous piece of tape and cloth, and I'm just cutting it there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sander and I'm going to sand this nice and smooth, and then I can start applying the final layers of epoxy, which will be 2 of them. But before all that, we do have to put the leash plugs in, so stay tuned. I drilled a very small pinhole right there that went into one of my leash block vent holes, and that's because this is completely encased in fiberglass right now. There's no way for that to breathe, and I'm at this a couple days, so as soon as I drilled that hole, I could actually feel air coming out of it, believe it or not. So just a little word of advice. So I just started sanding the board. I started with a 120 grit and worked my way to a 220. I just want to get some scratches on there so that I can get a good mechanical bond for the next coat. Now the next coat is going to come in here and fill this weave with the fiberglass. One thing to note here, when you start seeing this crosshair pattern, that's when you know that your sanding is deep enough. You don't want to rip that cloth up because you'll see it through the next coat. So there's how it looks for now. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll put some leash plugs and handles in.